come over here, pick a card. Simply self. So that's that's a reflection on, well, that's just what's reflecting back, I guess, to me now. And what my intention is now is to give a little tour of my living space and my workspace, which I've been calling a living design studio, as a way to recontextualize the process of creating and designing. So I'll take you through some of my materials and some of my processes. So starting off here, this is my wardrobe / all my textiles that are currently holding like a form. And then over here I have a shelf that's been repurposed, and it has some in each of these baskets over here. It has different qualities of material. And here it's like lightweight to medium weight cotton. And here I have denim and heavier weight cotton that are good. It's good for patching. And here I have felt and like padding materials. So these are old shoulder pads. I've been collecting my lint from the dryer, so I have some lint. It could be used for stuffing, and that I have used some of it. And up here, these are like silky weight, like it's made up of used linings or just bits and pieces from that quality of material. And here I have bits and pieces of t-shirts, bottoms, bra, underwear, any materials that are either I don't want to use or I'm not using in the form that they have. Like this is a t-shirt I've tried to get the smell out, and like it's a vintage t-shirt, and the smell in the armpits, it just won't go away no matter how long I soak it in vinegar. So I can reclaim other parts because I really love the feeling and the character of this t-shirt. I love the neckline and the type of the knit and the jersey, and maybe I can salvage some parts. And then here I have more like meshier types of knits from sweaters, or this was from like a little person dress. I wanted to use the mesh. I've used the mesh material from the skirt lining. And then down below here And on this shelf, I have plastic materials that I've salvaged. This is another story, but so here's bottle cap lids, here's foil from containers, here is findings from a nature walk where I found a rubber tire and synthetic leaves on my nature walk. That was a really big score. Or whatever. So then down here, these are from vegetable and fruit packaging. And these are all materials that I can use for sculpture, for art making. Materials that either aren't recyclable or things that would go into the landfill, and materials that will hold up over time so that they can be used for art making. And then in here I have water bottle parts, a whole collection of plastic water bottle parts that can be used for sculpture. In this container, I have random, this is miscellaneous small plastic parts. You can see, there's some toy stuff, there's, broken camera part, some gears, or gears or discs from a tape deck converter that stopped working, and also I don't have a tape deck in my car anymore. And then here there's plastic water bottles that I cut apart, and so they can kind of they're a little bit more flattened for storage and for using the materials that are already kind of in flatter shapes. And then down here I have more miscellaneous materials to be used. All of those CDs are not, they don't work. And then there's some metal parts, some plastic parts, some wooden parts. Then up here I have bags and luggage materials. So some of them are partly deconstructed, some of them are waiting that process. And then I have just some black and white cotton, some other colors of cotton, medium to heavy weights. Then up here I have stuffing and padding that's a mixture of, most of it's reclaimed materials that I found, except for this cotton batting, and this is organic cotton batting. And then I have other materials up here. I have my head form and basket full of yarn and string and things for small looming and weaving. Then I have a female and male mannequin, and that I can use for draping, and I kind of have mixed feelings about using them for draping. I'd rather drape on a real person and work with garments that already exist and then transform them from what is already there. And then here, this is a project. This is a globe of what planet? I'd say it's a tracing of a imperial construct. And then here I have, these are garments that I'm going to be dyeing with some, like I have a bunch of avocados frozen in my freezer that I've been collecting, and they can yield kind of like a pinkish color, or they can create kind of a pinkish color when you boil them in hot water. And so some of these garments are mordanted, and some of them are just like cleaned and waiting to go through a dyeing process. And then in here, in this cabinet, I have like files and some hardware stuff like drill and bits for that. Shoe storage down here, and then some screens that I've burned that I use for screen printing. Up here, some filing. And over here I have some essential oils, flower essences, some medicinal things, and some self-care products and adornments. There's some paintings my sister did. And then I also have records. I currently don't have a record player, but at some point I imagine I'll either have access to one or we'll have a record player. And some incense, some medicinal care procedures, and hanging objects embedded with their own stories. Okay, now we're coming over here. Oh, I forgot to show you. This is my little, well, over here, these are some family tree stuff, but that I'm lucky enough to have access to right now. I need to bring it back to my grandpa, though. Then we have some snacks, some walnuts and chocolate. Those are good energy snacks that I like. And then here's some materials in process. A little tiara my mom made. Some plants. This is my work table. And I'll back up so you can see. I have books and paints and things for ink making and dyeing. And then down here, this is my sewing area. I have 2 machines. This one is an old Pfaff. It does a zigzag stitch. This one's my straight stitch industrial machine. I do have a serger, a little home serger I was gifted. And then here I have patches and cords for sculpture and textile and weaving projects. And then here I have bits from garments that I've deconstructed and they're ready to be reapplied and reattached. Then I have threads. I have lots of threads. Tools, pattern making, sewing tools, printer, paper. Oh yeah, down here I have, this is kind of some storage stuff / things that are actively being used. In here I have all recycled paper that I can use for making journals, making books, making anything that needs paper so I don't have to use new paper. Collage. Then in here I have materials that's like too small to really bother sewing anymore. I mean, one could extract patchwork stuff from here, but it's mostly stuffing. And then here I have schoolwork and projects, a couple bins of schoolwork and projects from over the years and this past year that I've been in school. And here there's also design and research projects. And yeah, that's all underneath. I am lucky to have some tall ceilings, so this is like a 7-foot tall loft bed. And have my ironing board. So I like to move through this space and create in this space. It's been a lot of fun. And every time I set up shop, the process kind of evolves even more. And so there's a lot of projects in the works and a lot of things that are in the process of being made and of living and kind of having a life of their own. So